The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Guy Harvey Clothing by AFTCO. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers. Everything for your outdoor adventures. Croquis. Made in the USA. Drummond Community Bank. Costa. See what's out there. And Lumber Rock.
It's got the punch of a heavyweight and the pounds of a lightweight. Welcome to the main event featuring the new Yamaha 4-stroke F70. Tipping the scales at up to 142 pounds lighter than its 4-stroke competitors. That's a class-leading power-to-weight ratio, a haymaker of a whole shot, surprising mid-range punch, incredible fuel economy, and industry-leading innovation, performance, and reliability. The Yamaha 4-stroke F70. Reliability starts here.
At highway speeds, things can get pretty windy. That's why the Chevrolet Cruze Eco has active aero grille shutters that close at higher speeds to improve aerodynamics. With an EPA estimated 42 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Cruze Eco offers the best highway fuel economy of any gas engine in America. Always thinking of ways to give you more, while using less. That's American ingenuity to find new roads.
What is CCA? CCA has been representing recreational fishermen for over 25 years, and when your rights to fish are threatened, the CCA is there to make sure government regulators are making sound decisions. I'm a life member of CCA, and when fishery decisions are being made, the CCA in the room is fighting for our recreational rights. We need to give our kids the same opportunities to fish as we did. Do what I did. Go to ccaflorida.org and join for only $25 so you can protect your recreational angling rights.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
And the Florida Insider Fishing Report is going on tour. Come meet Captain Rick Murphy and the whole gang at Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe, Florida, April 12th and the 13th. And make sure you check out our website at FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com. You can find more about our tour dates and, of course, get the latest reports from all 9 of our captains as well. And don't forget, the Florida Insider Fishing Report wants to see your photos. Head to our Facebook page and upload your best cobia shots, next week's theme species, of course, for your chance to be featured right here on the show. Now let's travel over to the Panhandle, where Captain Pat Deneen is from. The Alabama line south to the Gulf County, Captain Chauffeur has you covered. So, Pat, how's the sail fishing?
All right, Lauren, we're going to talk about chauffeurs. We do have sailfish here spring through fall. And it's not as targeted as they are on the East Coast by any means whatsoever. But every spring, the guys fishing for cobias up and down the beach, see a few sailfish, and a few are caught by either tossing a live bait or a jig to them. And in the summertime, when all the bait shows up in the Gulf, the herrings and the cigar minnows, guys targeting king mackerel using live baits around those bait schools or around the fads. Then you'll incidentally catch a handful or so throughout the summer. They're more targeted, I'd say, in the fall around the edge, basically from the edge to the nipple out towards the elbow by guys trolling ballyhoos with some dredges. And there also some caught right up on the beach in the fall. In fact, last October, there were 2 caught from stand-up paddleboards right off the beach. So we do have them, but they're not as plentiful as they are over on the East Coast.
All right, well, I know that what you have offshore is incredible, so tell me what's happening, Pat.
Yeah, Rick, right now, the cobias are showing up, and that fishing is getting good, but if you really want to go offshore and catch some fish, target the amberjacks out on the natural relief bottom, the higher natural bottom, and also the metal wrecks, the tugboats, the liberty ships, the barges. Generally, the deeper you fit, the deeper the water, the bigger the jacks are going to be. So we're finding them inshore in 80 to 100 foot of water, but those 150 to 200 plus feet of water wrecks are holding the better fish. And fish with them with a live bait, either a ruby red lip or a mango snapper or a pinfish mid-water, or butterfly jig them, by dropping the jig below where they're marked and jigging them up rapidly. The nearshore jacks, some are legal. The further offshore jacks, most are legal.
All right, let's go inshore, Bub.
The redfish bite's been real consistent throughout the Panhandle. We got them on the Gulf, in the bays, and in the passes. The fish out in the Gulf are generally the bigger overslot fish. They're right up on that first sandbar, as well as on some of those nearshore wrecks bunched up. In the passes, they're mostly the slot fish. Pensacola Pass has been very good around the jetties, the rock piles, Destin Pass, and also Panama City Pass. Use a live bait on a split sinker rig on the bottom. Then if you want the slot fish, where they're all going to be in that not much more than 27-inch range, fish the docks, the residential docks, and the grass flats. West Bay has been very good. Use a gold spin or a soft plastic around the docks. The live shrimp's hard to beat. And there's a photo there of Spencer Rucker. He's from Mississippi. And that redfish we caught last week or so fishing for amberjacks on some of those nearshore wrecks. He's just using a butterfly jig right on the bottom.
All right, one more species. What you got?
Finally, Rick, the sheep's head bite's been real consistent. It's probably not going to maintain for too much longer as the water keeps warming up. But the bridges, like the Destin Bridge, the Destin East Jetty, the rock piles and the jetties over in Pensacola, and even the Bob Sykes Bridge has been real good using fiddler crabs, live shrimp, or fresh dead shrimp. The fish are running anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds. Rake the filings and chum them up a little bit if you can, and use a small little stout hook on a short leader with just enough lead to really hold bottom or hold it against the current.
All right, great report from the Panhandle region, Pat. I'm going to go ahead and get to the Blue Water Outriggers hotspots from the Panhandle region. Captain Pat says inshore, very consistent bull redfish bite in the Pensacola Pass, drifting live baits along the channel edges. And then offshore, amberjacks on the high relief metal wrecks in 130 to 200 feet of water. Use live baits or those butterfly jigs that he talked about.
All right, Rick, now let's head to our Central West region where Captain Jeffrey Page is the boss. Now, Jeffrey, last week, or actually rather a couple weeks ago when you took me out on the boat, you told me the sailfish were way offshore. Is that still the case out there?
Not really. Not really. They could be, but our sailfish bite really gets going, Lauren and Rick, right at the tail end of our kingfish season, which is just getting started. Everything's late this year. I heard Pat mentioning the sheephead are still hanging in there. Same in my region. The sheephead are still going on, and they usually are done by now. So everything's a little later. Guys are just starting to catch the kingfish, but we catch our sails right in the same areas that we catch our kingfish. It can be in as close as 3 to 4 miles. It can be out to 30 miles. The key is finding big schools of bait holding over or around our deeper west central artificial reefs. Bait of choice is a slow-trolled Spanish sardine or threadfin or an islander lure with a rigged ballyhoo. And like I said, the way they usually are discovered is guys will be out there kingfishing, and then bang, they'll hit a sail, or bang, they'll see a sail. And that's how the guys are catching them. The photo I have tonight is of local captain Justin Moore of Anna Maria Island with a nice sail he caught right at the end of April last year when the kingfish bite was slowing down.
All right, so let's stay offshore, Bub. What do you got?
All right, Captain Chris Seeger, your good friend of mine of Tight Line Charters out of Marina Jack in downtown Sarasota, reports that the red grouper bite is on fire. Just opened on the 1st, so it's real strong. The fish have been left alone, and guys are coming in with 12 to 18-pound red groupers. The depth, Chris says, has been 120 to 140 feet over hard or Swiss cheese bottom. And what he's been doing, Rick, he's been marking as much bait catch as he can over these areas, and then he's been anchoring up. But he hasn't even been using any live bait, just been using chunks of frozen sardines, cut sardines. If he does use a live bait, it's going to be a pinfish on a standard bottom rig. And like I said, there have been some really nice red groupers coming in.
All right, let's go inshore, Bub.
Inshore, redfish, your friend and mine. Good redfish action going on throughout the region. Guys are catching fish in the upper slot areas. Look for the reds getting up on the flats near the mangroves as the tide rises, and also around oyster bars, live free-line pilchards, or the new saltwater assassin little tapper in the golden brim pattern or the violet moon pattern on an 1/8 or 1/4 ounce silver hookup jig head is the ticket. I caught a dozen nice reds today on that little tapper, and it really works good. It's got really good action. Look for the best action in my region to the south part in Lemon Bay around the Spoil Islands, like I said, in the mangroves, on the higher stages of the tide, west side of Lemon Bay, and then at the mouth of the Manatee River in the north part of my region. And the fish are averaging 22 to 30 inches. Species 2, Pat mentioned it, I'm going to mention it, the sheephead. Sheephead bite remains strong. Usually it's over by now, but the water's still cold. And the sheephead are in the inlets from Stump Pass, Venice Jetties, Big Pass, New Pass, and even up around Anna Maria. The key, Rick, has been good moving water, incoming or outgoing, getting your boat position right, live fiddler crab, live shrimp, and on a small number 1 or 2 size hook with just enough lead to keep it down on the bottom. And the guys that are fishing off of land are doing just as well because they're able to position that bait real well. We have a photo tonight of Chiefland, Florida's own Gray Drummond, a friend of the show, and his beautiful daughter Ellie with a nice sheephead they caught in Sarasota Bay with me a couple weeks ago.
All right, Jeffrey, great report. I'm going to go ahead and get to the Starbright, Startron hotspots from the Central West region. Inshore, speckled trout cast topwater chrome skitter walks in and around bait schools and fish on the top of the grass flats to find those fish. And then offshore, kingfish troll a number 2 or a number 3 planer with spoons or Rapala X-Rap 20s over artificial reefs in 30 to 70 feet of water.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk with Captain Jim Ross from the CCA region in the Central East. And Captain Harry has some new products for us. Don't go anywhere.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by CCA, the voice of recreational anglers for over 25 years. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. Maverick Boat Company, makers of premium brand boats. Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
What do you ladies do when you need your vehicles repaired?
We used to call Harold, but now we have an even better way to find the best repairs in Florida. Visit BennettAuto.com and click on the Certified Service Centers link to find the one nearest to you.
It's hard to find a good mechanic that you can trust, but not anymore. Just go to BennettAuto.com, click on Certified Service Centers, and you can find the best mechanic with the best parts in Florida.
Everyone can get great parts and service from someone you can trust.
Now that's something to cheer about.
The Johnsons, right?
Yeah.
Which house is yours?
The one with the Silverado up front.
So, what do you do?
Well, nice.
And Bingo was his name.
The Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. For work, for life, Chevy Silverado.
You know, Harry, we're over here at the Jagermeister Workbench, and like we do every week, we talk about new products. And I got to tell you, you know, what are we got going here this week?
We've got some great stuff. Since we talked about Sailfish, I figured we'd talk about a dredge. This is a new product from Strike Point that you talk about something behind the boat, Rick. This right here, it looks like a ball of bait. And they make different sizes. They make the 12-inch, 24, and 36. I think the 36 holds like 296 fish behind it. And it's just literally incredible to see this behind the boat. Now, when you troll this behind the boat, you're only putting it back 15, 25 feet behind the boat. You want it real close up to the boat. You want to be able to watch what's going on behind this because these fish will come right up into the dredge and they just go crazy. You'll pitch a bait out, let it drop back. They'll think it's a wounded fish and they'll turn and eat that bait. And these things are just phenomenal. What's great about this particular Strike Point dredges, they're double laminated now. These things are lifetime warranty on them, so you cannot tear these up. I mean, if they do get torn up by the fish, because they will eat them, they'll replace them. They also have the new sardine, which is really cool looking.
Right.
And it's just another new product from them, and it's fantastic.
Now, let me ask you something. I mean, I'm not quite clear on how this dredge thing works. What's this big component that goes with this?
All right, now what this is going to be, this is going to go to your teaser line.
Right.
And then from the front of this, off the back here, you're going to have another snap swivel with a small cable, which will snap to the front of the dredge.
So the front, so that becomes the weight.
This is a 3 to 5 pound lead right here. So this is not a thing that you're going to high-speed troll with. It's going to be a medium speed to a slow speed. And this is going to hold the dredge down where you're going to be able to see it. Now, again, you don't want it too deep, so you use different size leads. We also have, which works really well, is a big lip lure. Any type of big lip lure that works really, really good. And what we'll do here is that's going to be down below. This is going to hook now to your dredge. So this will be up here. That plug will be down below there.
It's pulling like this.
So here's your setup. This is off to the back of the boat. This is pulling it down, so it looks like you have a live bait down here also, plus the whole ball of bait right behind the boat.
Nice.
And it just looks really, really good.
Nice.
And it's a little harder to pull in if you want to get it in pretty quick because it's something that's pulling harder than a lead. So that's something that you got to be aware of when you're doing that. So it makes it a little tough.
Obviously, we talked about live baits earlier in the show on rigs and techniques.
This is something that a lot of people, when you get something like this is a de-hooker. A lot of them don't float, they sink. So this particular one's got a large handle on it. It's got a long extension on it, which is really good because when you're doing sabiki rigs, as you well know, there's several hooks. You don't want to be your hand all inside there, like long sleeve shirt, snagging. So you want to be able to get in there and pull and de-hook really simple and easy. And what else is great about this thing is when I'm out trout fishing, instead of grabbing the trout and holding it and all that, you just reach over, pull the jig, and it pops it right off, and it works phenomenal. So it's pretty good for a little bit of everything. This is important. When you're hot, you're sweaty, the wind's gone for the day, it's time to put a thong on. And
a what?
A thong.
A thong.
And I've always put a thong on when I'm out fishing. When it's not, what we're using, this is a kite thong is what we're using.
Oh, okay.
This is putting on the
I
kite.
thought we were going down the wrong channel here.
No,
Moses.
I wouldn't do that to you. Yeah, no. This is something that's really, really neat. It's an adjustable deal. It's a really cool product a couple young kids invented, and it's fully adjustable. You still have to tie your balloon to the back of the kite.
Right, tie it in there.
Tie it on the back, and as you can see, this thong goes all the way around the back of the balloon, so you don't have to put a piece of tape, and you can reuse the balloon over and over. And what it does, it goes to the spar of the kite.
Right.
Swivel just slides right over it, and then you can adjust the kite, the balloon, to make the kite fly to the right.
Oh, really?
Or make the kite fly to the left. So when you're, obviously this is going to have helium in it, and it's going to take the kite up, and it's just a great new invention that works phenomenal. All the big dogs are using them now.
Yeah, and Harry, the other thing that I think so important is when you're on a boat, safety is everything. So boat shoes.
Oh, it's a must, especially non-skid.
The Olakais just have the perfect soles.
It's a great sandal. It's very comfortable, soft. You're not going to get the smell like you do a lot of the other sandals. These things, the more you wear them, the better they are. And I love them. It's a great sandal.
They're a new sponsor for us this year. I mean, obviously we're going to be talking about them a bunch, but if guys want to buy Olakais and they don't have them in their region, they can
contact us, and any particular brand style that they have, we can get them to them pretty quick. Just drop ship it right to their house.
All right, one last thing. We've got this. Now, Harry, what is this?
This is awesome. This is Grand Slam aluminum. This is to fly in the kite. And what's great about this is going to go inside the boat. So say we're standing in the boat, this is going to be on the starboard side.
Right.
And you're going to have your kite rods all in here. So you're able to use the reels right in front of you. Then you'll have your rig that we talked about earlier. So everything's going to be right in front of you. The whole setup is going to just real quick, real simple to use. And it's just a great product. You're going to have
you can put your bottle of
your soda pop
premium
on that
beverage.
side, or your premium beverage would be really good. So it's just something that works really well. You put one on port side, one on starboard side.
All right, well, from thongs to Lauren, I don't even know how to segue this, Lauren, so I guess you're just going to have to bail us out over here.
Well, I'll do my best, guys. I know first things first. I don't know if it's you're welcome or I'm sorry for our surprise thong experts over there, but either way, as promised, I did tell you we'd get to Captain Jim Ross. He's our expert from the CCA Central East region. Now listen up, guys. We are talking from Sebastian Inlet north to Ponce Inlet, including Cocoa Beach, Melbourne, and New Smyrna. Let's talk sailfish. Hey, Jim.
Hey, welcome to the show, Lauren. I'm glad that you guys got a chance to talk thongs this evening.
Me too, I think.
Right now, we're going to talk about sailfish because this region's got a fair bite going on right now. It's not fantastic, but it's fair. Now, right now, our best depths to start for sailfish are between about 120 to 180 feet off Sebastian, and then starting right about the 160-foot mark or so off of Canaveral and Ponce. And you want to work out to about the 350-foot mark. You want to look for temperature breaks, rips, and sargassum weed. That's what's going to hold your bait fish and congregate the sails in those depths. You want to use naked, split-billed, or chin-weighted small to medium-sized ballyhoo, which should go right along with those thongs that Rick and them guys were talking about. That's going to be your best choice for a bait. Naked baits work best because sailfish like to eat small baits, and when you put a skirt over the top of it, you make that bait larger. Makes it a little more difficult for those sailfish to bite. They're also really good for pitch baits. Now, our other species that we've got is cobia. They're migrating northward through the Central East region right now, and guys are finding them in 50 to 60 foot of water one day. The next day, they're finding them out in 70 to 90 feet of water. The water temperature is the big key here. You want to go to 68 to 73 degrees. That's what's holding the cobia right now. Any kind of floating degree or sargasso weed is worth investigating, especially if you get the two grouping together. You get temperature and weeds, or color and weeds and debris floating. That's going to be a key place that you're going to have to check out. Brightly colored jigs obviously work real well. The standard cobia jigs that you see in all the tackle stores are great things to use, but you can use subsurface plugs like that Rapala Glide and Wrap. They come in two different sizes, and they look like a pilchard or a pogie or a sardine, and the cobia eat them really well. Or you can throw live jumbo shrimp at those picky fish, and that seems to get their mouths opened up.
All right, Jim, let's go inshore. I'm sorry. Do you have a picture, or what am I missing?
No.
Something? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let's go inshore.
No, inshore we've got speckled trout right now. The Mosquito Lagoon seems to be the best place to catch them. Anglers are poling around, being real stealthy, making long casts. We've got big trout, and we call these trout bonefish trout because they're a lot like an Alamorada bonefish. They're very wary. You have to have a real good game plan to beat these fish, and oftentimes it takes live finger mullet or live shrimp cast into the sand holes that they're holding in to catch them. But on the slightly windier days, Trigger X and Saltwater Assassin 5-inch shads are working really well when you put them on a weedless hook or topwater plugs. Now, good colors in the Trigger X seem to be a smelt or the goby or the money color, and in the gold pepper, or I should say in the Assassin, the gold pepper shiner, baby bass, and Cajun croaker seems to be working real well. Now, redfish are holding in the same areas that the big trout are holding in, especially the middle and south portions of the Mosquito Lagoon. You're going to be throwing the same things for those fish, and you're going to also want to throw some cut baits because the cut baits seem to be catching the fish whenever the wind gets down, and they get really spooky when there's no ripple on the water, and they'll swim up, pick up a cut bait, where a lot of times they'll run from a jerk bait or something that's moving. Now, around the inlets, especially Ponce and Sebastian, they're getting 35 to 50-inch fish. They're getting live croakers, sand perch, and mullet down to those fish in those passes, and that seems to be what's working best right now.
All right, Jim, before we go, I got a question for you. You know, your region, out of all the regions in Florida, have the biggest redfish. Now, if a guy wanted to come up to your region and catch a big redfish, when would you recommend him to come, and what should he expect?
Well, Rick, that's kind of a trick question because we have them year-round, so you can always have the shot at catching one on the flats. But if you're fishing the inlets, generally when you get stronger moon phases during each month, there's new moon and full moon phases, you're going to get more fish. But by far, my favorite time of the year for the big fish is that August through October time frame. They group up into gigantic schools, sometimes 500-600 fish in a school. They will crush topwater plugs, and it is the most exciting fishing of the year, in my opinion.
All right, well, great report from the Central East CCA region. I'm going to go ahead and get to your hot spots from the Central East region. Captain Jim says inshore, large speckled trout in the Mosquito Lagoon Work 5-inch soft jerk baits or live baits through sandy potholes on the eastern shoreline flats. And then offshore, cobias throughout the entire region cast largely bright colored jigs to cruise and fish on the surface in 40 to 60 foot depths.
All right, very important note here real quick, guys. The CCA Florida needs your help to prevent access restrictions in Everglades National Park. If you would like to attend the public hearing to voice your opinion, you can do so at the IGFA in Dania Beach on April 8th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Rick, this is so important.
You know, Lauren, it really is. And guys, I gotta tell you, the big picture here is we're talking about areas that are gonna be closed to technical poling fishing. They're gonna try to sell it to us like it's a pole and troll zone. But guys, if you're trying to pole a 2,000-pound boat with all of its equipment, fuel, the 2 guys that you're guiding, you could be asked to pole 2 miles back into a 20-knot wind and into a 1.5 knots of current. It's not doable, guys. And so what we got to do as recreational anglers, Lauren, we got to stand up for our rights. We don't have to accept this. You guys need to show up at the IGFA and voice your opinion.
You got to make sure your voices are heard. Now, guys, stay with us. When we return, we're paying a visit to Captain Russell in the Northeast region and Jeff Hageman in the Northwest.